You just got off stage.
I did.
That's awesome. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
Have you spoken at a Pyro conference before?
No, this is my first.
Love it. How'd it go?
I hope well. I got good feedback,
Yes.
so I'm going to say yes, it went well.
Good. Well, I heard it went very, very well.
Thanks.
What'd you talk about?
So we talked about culture starts with recruiting.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks think about recruiting as, oh, we need this person for X, and then they forget how to tie in this person being a good fit for the company, right? And starting with your culture.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? How do you do that? That's what we presented on.
Yeah, I don't know if this is kind of up your alley, but I remember seeing a video that Chick-fil-A plays to recruits, and they're just super transparent about this is what we are, this is who we are, knowing it'll probably turn some people off, and that's fine for them because the people that it calls to and the people that it turns away kind of helps weed through a little bit of cultural fit.
Yeah, and we call that our calibration process. And so that's what we tell our clients and anyone recruiting is your culture and your values need to be leading that conversation. But then how do you do that? Which is calibrating. So put the skills at the end of it, because they're important, but it's either a yes or no. But what are the values that you're looking in a person? What drives the company culture? Like, what does that mean? What does culture mean? Acceptable or unacceptable behaviors? How do you look for that? Yeah,
and I sometimes I know people have the temptation to maybe be a little rosy or be a little recruity in their conversations. And when I sit down with employees, I'm like, guys, I want to be super duper honest with you now because I don't want to be back in this chair 3 or 6 months from now where we both realize you weren't a fit and you don't like it either. Or it's like, if we can really discover who we are and we can be super clear about that, I'm super into this conversation. So what are some takeaways for employers? Like, how can they get better? I know awareness is always, step one, but talk to me about kind of some of the stuff you covered on stage.
So one is like alignment. You need to go beyond just your hiring managers. You need to ask yourself, where is the value and who should be a part of this interview process? And who knows your culture best to drive that? Like, as far as we're concerned, your recruiting is your first line of defense. If your recruiting team is not on par with what those values and cultures are, then your defense is useless. And sure, you want your hiring manager involved, and then maybe cross-functional. Like, who are these people going to work with? Different personalities coming in. I think the biggest takeaway too we share is before you start getting into the conversation of who your company is and what you're looking for and whatnot, start by asking them without talking about yourself. Ask them, what are you looking for in the organization? How do you think you best how do you best learn? How do you take feedback? Like, how do you interact with your managers? And then I'll tell you what we're looking for, because I don't want you to form your answer with biases for what I'm looking for. Because if you're not a good fit, then let's have that conversation and I'll save your time. Don't want to push you through something that's not going to work, and that's okay. It's not like good or bad, it's just not a good fit.
Yeah, I made a joke earlier, for every pot there's a lid. Right? It doesn't need to be a pro or a con, right?
No, not at all.
Do you find this ratchets up in importance as you get to maybe higher leverage roles and positions? So as we go from line employees up to managers and C-suites?
Yes, but I don't want to negate the importance even at those roles either. Because every role is important. But sure, definitely, I would say the emphasis comes into play where, okay, maybe they're starting out, to your example, something line, but we should be thinking longevity, right? So if this person's not always going to be in the individual contributor role and they are going to work with people, what's that going to look like? Like, are they going to be able to do it? Maybe, maybe not. No concrete way to determine it, but we should be thinking about these things, not just 50 feet ahead of us.
So you make a good case for this being important for every single hire.
Oh yeah.
How about once we've already got folks in, do you guys talk much about kind of how do we train and coach up? So now as an employer, we've decided this is important. Right. How do I espouse that to my managers and hiring folk and the rest of my company?
Well, if you put in all this work in recruiting that special person, right? They're the culture fit and the tech fit. You gave them the 5-star treatment, the white gloves. That doesn't stop right there. So what's your onboarding look like? What is your team doing, not just day one, but the first 2-3 weeks? What's your hiring manager doing? If you're not having those conversations, or at least involving your TA or HR business partners, then let's go back and have that conversation.
What are some places you see people not doing a great job on that? What are some failures?
Onboarding.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beyond just your paperwork and your I-9. Like, who are they talking to that first week? Who are the key stakeholders? At Compass, we have like a coffee chat with our new hires with the executive team. Nothing related to work, just get to know your leadership, put a face to a name, and have that connection.
You do that like once a month? So anyone hired
Every
this
new
month?
hire.
Every new hire. We sit them down and we just do a little...
Every new hire. It doesn't have to be long. You can carve out 15, 30 minutes.
I'm getting a cup of tea anyways. Might as well sit
But that
down
new hire is going to remember that moment, and they're going to feel included, they're going to feel valued, and they are. So we're not just talking the talk, you need to walk the walk.
Yeah. That's awesome. Any other points you hit on stage that you'd like to make sure we touch on here?
If you get anything out of what we shared on stage, collaboration and a calibration. And if you don't know what those two words mean, or you're not sure how to do it, then like reach out to us.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to drive it.
Shout out like a website or an email address.
Yeah, wearecompass.com. Give us a look for anything that you need HR related. Or again, how are you bringing in your folks? That's what we're here for.
Love that. Thank you,
Yeah,
Steph,
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.